Hi, everybody. Welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. We've been away for a short while on a break, and we're back to discuss everything Spurs, starting with welcoming the new Spurs manager, Ange Postecoglou. With me to look at everything regarding Ange, we have our in-house guru, Mr. Chuma. Chuma will join us on the other side. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Right, if this is your first time here, this is Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. We have a big season ahead of us. We had a nice nice good break after the end of the season. Mr. Ange Postecoglou started his role with Tottenham a couple of on the 1st of July, and we're welcoming him with all our love and affection for now. And then yes, I've got with me today to discuss everything Spurs. I've got Chuma on the other line. Chuma, how are you?
Oh yeah, I'm super blessed, Soji, back to be glad to be back. New season, new manager, new hope, and as all Spurs fans will tell you, it's the hope that kills you. But here we are.
Absolutely, indeed, is the hope that kills you. If you're here for the first time, like I said, subscribe to our channel. If you're watching on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. We've also got a few other social media handles. We're on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. It would be very great if you could follow us on all of those platforms as well. Let's dive straight into it. Chuma,
Yes.
we have a new Spurs manager. It took a while to get there in the end. There's plenty of back and forth, all sorts of rumors, failed deals. We didn't sign and it slots. Nagelsmann was looking at us, and Luis Enrique, what's that guy's name that used to be at Liverpool?
Gabi.
Yeah, Xabi Alonso. The Wall and his dog were all on Tottenham's list as potential managers, right? In the end, Daniel Levy stuck with Ange, and it looks like, it's early days, but it looks like a big good appointment. What do you reckon? Let's just dive straight into it. I'll give you first dibs on this one.
Okay. Well, I said earlier on in the previous thing of air, it wasn't the first choice. I was very much, as you can see, for those of you who are fans of Common News Plus TV, part of the family, I was pushing for Nagelsmann. I was a Nagelsmann. I'm a diehard Nagelsmann fan. And then once that didn't happen, because according to the stories, it was more to do with sporting directors and all that stuff. Um, I said, okay, no problem. Second choice was Arne Slot from Feyenoord, who had just won the league with Feyenoord for the first time in, I think, almost a decade or something that Feyenoord had won the league and playing amazingly good football, um, positional football disciple. And for those who don't know, positional football has been around for years, but it was really pioneered by Johan Cruyff. And Cruyff's disciple, per se, as in the absolute disciple, is Pep Guardiola. So Arne Slot played a form of Pep Guardiola's kind of football with the kind of intensity and movement. And my goodness, I was like, this guy is nailed on. He had a sort of charisma as well. I was like, yeah, this guy can be Spurs manager. And we're so hopeful. I was really expectant, and only for negotiations to start and literally end when he decided he would stay. I think his release clause was too high. And considering Spurs have paid off one or two or three managers in the last 4 or 5 years. They don't want to be spending so much on their manager and their thing, and it just blew up. And he ended up staying. His reasoning was, well, he needs to take Feyenoord into Champions League and stuff. But I was really at that point, I was like, come on, who can we really get? And that left, like you said, Xabi Alonso, Luis Enrique, and some others. And it's like, I looked at them, the profiles, good managers, very good coaches and tacticians, but I couldn't see Spurs in any of them. And I felt Nagelsmann could be a Spurs manager, and I felt Slot especially could be one. And a name that, funny enough, in March, on our Nigerian Spurs group, I actually said there's this guy in Celtic. And it was somebody else on the group that reminded me, like, well done. You called it in March. And I said, this guy, the football he plays, I would not be surprised if Daniel Levy got this guy. And Ange Postecoglou is someone that I first noticed when he was coach of Yokohama Marinos in Japan. And they played one preseason. I watch a lot of crazy preseason matches. And it was Man City against. And the reason I watched that match was I had never seen any team go toe to toe, even though it was a preseason game and City weren't playing, but the guy refused his team to let go. And I was like, who is this guy? Oh, some Australian guy. He used to manage the national team. I said, okay. His name just stayed. And I never thought of him until he became Celtic manager. And I have a few friends I work with, my former colleagues. Some of them are like some Scottish guys. They are heavy Celtic guys. They're not Rangers. And I used to joke, I used to be Rangers just to mock them. But these guys told me they have a guy. And I started watching Celtic matches just out of fun, and I love their movement. When they played Real Madrid, the first 60 minutes, Celtic took it to Real. Celtic could have been 5-0 in front if they had guys who have more quality. So them getting him, his history, he was born in Greece. His parents emigrated to Australia when he was 5 years old. And it's a real rags to riches story of someone rising up and fighting for everything he's ever gotten. Playing football in Australia that is huge with rugby and cricket, where we're talking about the Ashes earlier on, and those are the predominant sports. This guy, he's risen up from the ranks. He's gone, and then he's taken it from Australia. His team dominated Australia. So okay, that's Australian football. Went to Japan, did so much, went to the national team, qualified for World Cups, and all the while playing in an attacking style and adapting to every environment he's been in. And then winning in Scotland. And I know everyone's going to say the same thing. Scottish football isn't English football. The levels between the Premier League and the Scottish Premiership are so vast. But it's all about ideas, because we said the same thing. So certain pundits said the same thing about De Zerbi, that, oh, he can't survive. And De Zerbi now at end of the season, same guys. But there's something about this man's work ethic and the sound bites you're hearing from him. He's not boasting. He's not doing anything. He's just saying words that they sound like common sense, but you can see it in action. And that's, I think there's a lot of hope with him.
Yeah, I mean he talks a good talk. I mean, it doesn't sound arrogant or what's the word, overly coming across as he just comes across with like someone who's really confident in his own ability, and obviously eager to prove everyone else wrong. Because if you look at his record, I mean, granted, he's been not in any of the top 5 European leagues, as people like to say, right? Which is, I mean, when you think about it, okay, fine, but you develop what is called a mentality, right? And if that mentality is a winning mentality, it sticks with you wherever you go. I mean, that's the theory of it. And it's not a theory born out of someone who's just sort of, it's just been proven over time, and it's been known to work consistently. This man has won 18 trophies in his time. 18 trophies. I mean, granted, okay, fine, none of them have come in the but if you look at them, both as coach of under 17 young guys, is so he understands youth. He's won with the Australian national team the Asian Cup. And everyone says, oh, Asia. I mean, there are no teams there. South Korea are not bad. Japan are not bad. Those guys qualify for the World Cup consistently, and they give a good account of themselves. I remember Australia in the last World Cup when he was the manager. I thought to myself, how Australia playing this well? I mean, now going back I mean, obviously remembering that
You
now,
realize who it was.
I now
Yeah.
realize who that person was now with better hindsight being here. So you think, okay, there might be something here. You know, I think where the test would lie, I guess, would be how does he cope with, in quote, better players, right? As in the likes of who have got Premiership experience and what we might call, okay, compared to who he's had before, Premiership stars, if you like. I'm not saying that we don't. I mean, we have stars like that. But we got Harry Kane, and for me, Harry Kane sounds like someone who's really down to earth and doesn't carry it. It doesn't. It's not a prima donna sort of person, if you like. You know, unlikely to
Yep.
sort of create problems for money. I don't know, but I mean that's where the real test would lie, I guess. I mean, for him. However, having said that, though, I mean, my I want to use the word joy of having him is the fact that, and people, and a lot of people alluded to this as well. The fact that all of the previous managers we had before now, I mean, especially the last two, have always felt as if they're doing us a favor. You know, I mean, Mourinho came, you know, and it's of course gone in a huff. Conte feels like he's actually doing you guys a favor. You know, like he's bigger than Tottenham, and it's like, you know, being so disparaging about the club. You know, the club that pays your money. You know, I mean, I found that so disrespectful in that last press conference where he got sacked. You know, but having said that, though, I mean, that's by the by. He looks hungry. He looks committed. He looks ready to go. And yeah, I think we're in for a good ride. Tell me, Chuma, you're a tactics guy. I mean, you know. I mean, you describe tactics like you're a coach. Everyone said you should have it. You take a FIFA badge. You know. Tell me,
Right.
if that was style of play, how would you? I mean, what would you say style of play looks like?
Okay. So what the thing? Okay. So there's something now. There's a word that they use in football called the football meta. META, meta. So meta is basically the most efficient ways of playing football where you're attacking and you can score. And there's a particular style that is going on right now. And if you noticed it last season, there were certain teams that had this meta style and were winning. Arsenal, Manchester City, and Brighton. They all didn't do it the same way, but they had similar patterns. And one of those patterns is getting your fullbacks. They all lined up like 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, and they would get their fullbacks to come into midfield to create more numbers. That allowed them more possession and more angles to pass the ball. And so they pass through you, and especially Brighton. So the way this football meta works out, in midfield, you'd always have a square. You'd always have four players in a square. So it doesn't matter if your opponents come with two or three midfielders, you always have one extra man. So that's why it always looks like if you watch Pep Guardiola's teams, he always looks like he has more players than you. It's not that he has more players than you. It's how he positions them to always outnumber you in certain areas on the pitch. So that's what the meta is. Arteta learned it perfectly off Pep. Brighton, he got that. He's also a Pep fan, De Zerbi, and he implemented his own version of it, which is allowing you come to me and I go through you. The other ones they pass around you.
Speaking of which, I mean, you and I were discussing this off air about how Pep teams, especially when he was managing Barcelona, whereby it was like within 8 seconds of you losing the ball, you got to get it back. And you had
Yeah.
Barcelona then, they were all over you like a rash. Every time they lost possession, within a few seconds, they had that back for you. I mean, how did they do that?
So the thing about it is, part of the meta system is you always have three players in and around the ball, and they position their bodies in a way that they receive the ball, even if they're under pressure, they can give it and get it back. Now, if they lose the ball, within 8 seconds, two of them are converging towards whoever collected that ball. So they will strangle. It's like strangling somebody to get it. Like it's like someone taking something from you and you instantly jump on him and strangle him, and the person has to drop it. And so in that situation, you don't even have to have the greatest defenders in the world because, truth be told, Gerard Piqué is a good defender. Gerard Piqué isn't a great defender, but because Iniesta, Xavi, you remember those guys? They would choke you so much, you'd never touch them. Tottenham had something
Busquets.
similar under Pochettino when we had Wanyama and Dembele, the Bruce brothers. The two of them would just break in, and whichever fullback aids them, they collect the ball and give it back to Ericsson. So Ericsson always looked like he had the ball because these guys were just choking, collecting, giving. And that's what he does. 8 seconds, you don't pass backwards. I don't know if you saw the soundbite where there's a soundbite where he was screaming at, why did you pass back?
Yeah.
He wants to go forward all the time. It's vertical football, and he doesn't like it when you hoof the ball. You have to pass your way out of trouble. And as much as he's a Pep disciple, there's an example I've shown some friends of mine of who I think his football is very similar to. And that was the only Chelsea manager that we never went for. There were rumors we were going for him, that if we had gotten him, I think he would have worked. And that's Maurizio Sarri. Sarri ball. Maurizio Sarri played a certain way for Napoli. He never won a title. He came to Chelsea. It didn't work out for him in Chelsea because Chelsea wouldn't give him time. The players were too big for him. But he still managed to win that Europa League where they demolished Arsenal 4-0. Sarri ball is what Ange plays, where it's quick, you're passing, you pass your way out of trouble, and we're heading for your goal. Even if you score 3, we'll score 7. And I think that is a Tottenham thing. Like, I have friends who always say that, oh, Tottenham, you guys always try to outscore. I say that's the whole point. Ange likes entertaining football. He doesn't like 1-0s, or he wants to completely obliterate or be obliterated himself and learn from it. There's a saying he has that I really love, which is, if plan A isn't working, we will continue doing plan A, but we'll do it better. And I was like, this guy is crazy. And I fully welcome it. Yeah, we could later complain months from now, but just initially his mindset as well. And like I said, he's someone who he's had to work. He's 20-something years in management. He has learned how to talk to players, how to get the best out of them. He's experienced and he has won. And like you said as well, I love that statement you made where he's hungry to prove himself. We've hired managers who they've achieved something. So it's like, yeah, Spurs, it all thing in that statement of this is the history of Tottenham. Like, we Tottenham have never won anything in our lives. He said, this is the history of Tottenham. Like, no, this is the recent history of Tottenham, not the history of Tottenham as a club. But he could say that, and he could do that because he'd won a title with Inter Milan, and he'd done this with Chelsea and stuff like that. So he had, he has the authority to say that kind of thing. But in reality, that's what we got you here to teach or to try and help us. But in Ange, we have a guy
absolutely.
Yeah, everyone's written Ange Postecoglou off already. But the beauty of it is, how they tell you this, there's this whole thing of, it's not what you tell me about yourself, it's what everybody else tells me about you. And to see the sheer number of Celtic fans that were heartbroken, they hate Tottenham, they hate us for taking him. Like, the same way the Yokohama fans hate Celtic for taking him. I'm like, this guy just leaves a trail of fans that are heartbroken because he does the work. And that's all Tottenham want. We just want a guy who come in, love us, train us, and when he leaves us in a better place. By the way, all his assistant managers, majority of them take the jobs after he goes, and they continue that success. So you're looking at a man that leaves a legacy in his coaching.
It's interesting. I mean, when you mentioned about his quotes, I don't know one of the quotes on the one he had when he gave his first interview. On Tottenham Hotspur TV, the in-house on Spurs play, said people want to see their team scoring goals. Being exciting, not conceding goals, being aggressive in their approach. And, all these kind of things that everyone seeks in their own football team. That's what I want to try to provide. The basis of it will be that we want to be a team that wins things and ultimately entertain our fans. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I said he's very excited about challenges ahead. And he says this, which is I love it. This humility of recognizing the fact that look, says it's an enormous football club, right? Exciting league, and I guess all things to strive for your professional career. It's great to be here and get ready to work. So I mean, I'm loving Ange already. You know,
100%.
yeah. So yes, kudos to him. Um, if we look at, I mean, all right. So the difficulty people have mentioned is that transition from um, coming in from a league that, okay, it's not any of the top five leagues. How we cope with, I mean, players of the like of, I mean, Harry Kane, Son, Richarlison, top players who have seen it, done it, and been there, and how does he bring in his own players or his own authority or shape, or tactics to bear on that team? Okay, fine. He's also sort of decided to build a team in terms of the transfers that we've had so far, right? I think we've got about two. I mean, we've got three people in. I mean, if we count Kulusevski as from the loan deal now made permanent, and then you've had the goalkeeper, the carrier. We'll come back to that in a minute, and then of course we also have James Madison. How do you think this whole thing is going to sort of pan out? I mean, in your view?
So the first thing is, like we discussed, he's a ball playing attacking manager. So you need a goalkeeper. We discussed this last year. Hugo Lloris. There's a huge disrespect going on with Hugo Lloris, Eric Dyer, and Davinson Sanchez. God knows I've said things about them, but I say things about them with respect. But I've noticed a very strong disrespect. Hugo Lloris's liability lies in his feet. He's not very good with his feet. He can't pass out of defense that well. He's not. But now, in order to play this meta football, you need a goalkeeper that is really, really good with his feet, that can more or less become a third center back in the middle of the two center backs. And that's what you're striving for. And we got one in Vicario. A lot of people say, oh, he can't use his feet. They've only seen him saving. No, that young man improved himself as using his feet, and we'll be very surprised at what we see. So Ange has already started by
apparently he was the second best passer in Italy.
There you go.
So with his feet, I think, yeah. So I think he had
almost
like a 70% pass completion rate. When you look at the stats, so it's not small beans at all.
Yeah.
And he's relatively young. I mean, for a goalkeeper,
for a goalkeeper, 26. But he's also young. But he's also, I love the thing when there was a statement that came out about his discussion with Ange, and Ange said, "I like you because you have worked your way up," and that spoke volumes.
That was a good one as well. Yes.
I'm like, do you understand? That was the first one, and then Tottenham have been crying out for a creative attacking midfielder because, let's be honest with each other, we are the team that produced Glenn Hoddle. We are the team that Chris Waddle played for. We're the team that Gascoigne played for. We're the team that David Ginola played for. We like creative.
And we also the team that Luka Modric played for. We're the team that
Luka Modric
played for. The team that
we are
Ericsson.
Tottenham are a flair team. We've always been a flair team. We do not succeed when we do not play flair football. It's as simple as that. And for him to go for Madison it's like every Spurs fan is like, about time. This is what we want. And he went for Madison, and then once again, the soundbite that just tells you where this man is. Madison says to me, if you come or you do not come, you will see a brand of Tottenham, more or less telling him, you wish you were part of what we're doing. You will see a brand of Tottenham football you've never seen before. And I was like, and Madison thought about, because let's be honest, Madison had the opportunity to go to Newcastle, who have Champions League football, and can pay him higher wages than Tottenham. But for different reasons, some say even family reasons as well, his family didn't want to move up north to the northeast and all that. But then, having called this man and the guy told him what he told him, this guy is thinking, this guy has a chip on his shoulder, and this could work for me, and Madison signed. And you're looking at that in any season. If we told you we'd sign Kulusevski, even though he's played for us before, like a Kulusevski, Madison, and a goalkeeper that passes out, we're already saying, wow, that's already a good window. It's a very good start to the window. And there are other things happening. We'll cover that in a transfer episode coming up. So stay tuned, guys. But I think it's just everything is just building, and we're going under the radar because the rest of the Premier League is spending huge sums of money on some other great players, and then you have the Saudi league as well that is doing its business, taking people out.
Oh
So
my
Spurs are
goodness,
just going under the
that's another
radar,
story entirely. But we'll get there.
But Spurs are going under the radar. And he's just doing his business, and I think he's one of those guys. And there's several things. I think Sister Jennifer, when she was on as well, we all spoke about that on the show, where she said it's better for us not to be in Europe. And we are all angry about it in a way that we always qualify for Europe. But look at how much training time we're going to gain by not being in Europe. We are going to be training. We're going to be getting better, adapting to the system. He's going to be bringing in youngsters to see what they can do in training without any pressure. No,
Yeah. I
it's going to
mean,
be good.
it's really positive all around thus far, and I hope long may that continue. I mean, so another challenge people would say is that, I mean, how will it adapt to the Premier League? I mean, compared to where it was coming from. I mean, the teams are not quite the same. You got, I mean, top six. Okay, Tottenham are meant to be in the top six. It's now top seven with Newcastle in the mix now. For all we care, could be top nine when you add Villa and Brighton into the into the
No,
mix.
that's true.
So it's a really competitive league this year around. I mean, like you said, all of the teams around us are doing plenty of stuff. Chelsea are are doing a fire sale. Well, not quite a fire sale, but at least getting rid of a lot of the people that have been acquired over time.
It's Saudi fire sale. Saudi fire
Yeah.
sale. We don't
So,
know how
and then
they managed to rope the Saudis into getting
trying to
all the.
build a team that is in Pochettino's image, but that's a matter for them. We don't want to get involved in their shenanigans. I mean, for us, we want to see Ange succeed. We want to see him take the team to the next level, and yeah, we want to see him obviously improve on the way that Spurs play and get us right up there where we think we belong. I mean, it's not being arrogant to say that we won't expect that he will do really well this season. It's the expectation, if you like. I mean, what do you reckon?
Yeah. So for me, I'll be very honest. I have this map of how I see football, and there are two schools of football. There's attacking football, proactive football, front foot football. There's reactive, defensive, and counter-attacking. And both schools of football can win. But what I have noticed more recently is attacking front foot, proactive football is winning more than the defensive one. And not only that, it makes the players better. The players are improving at a quicker rate because the focus on the mind is let us try and attack and win rather than let's defend, let's not concede and win. That just negativity stops. So Tottenham have now said, look, we're going to be attacking, we're going to be everything. And I think one, it fits the DNA of the club. It changes the mindset of the players going in because we said this before. I don't think Newcastle squad was better than Tottenham's, but Newcastle mindset was completely miles ahead of Tottenham's. And that's because they had a manager that said to them, let's attack. Now we've gotten something similar. And you're saying the transition from Scotland to England. It's football is football. Positional football is positional football wherever you play it. It's like saying you studied mathematics in Nigeria and you came to England and it's still mathematics. What you learned is the same thing. It's just you're in a different environment and probably a different style of learning. But if you were really good there, as you and I both know, the same people come here and they absolutely destroy things here. They are very, very good here. In fact, they become excellent. And my view is he has better equipment, a better training ground, and better players than he had in Scotland. So my expectations are to play good football and win games. And whatever outcomes come from that will come from that. If I was going to predict anything, I honestly think um, would be back in the top six. I wouldn't even say top four, anything, top six. And I honestly believe in a cup or a cup run, I think he's one of those guys that would he understands the rules. If he's also a Pep disciple, he understands that the minute you win one cup, it not only boosts your club, it boosts the mindset of your players. It gets them. He has another lovely soundbite when he said, "Do you set a target for your players?" He says, "No, because it limits them. I don't tell them go and win a League Cup. I say we will win every game we can win, because the more we win, we want to win more." And I just said to myself, brilliant. He's going to go for both cups, FA Cup and League Cup. I believe that. He will not set one as a thing. He's going to go for both. And he's going to go to get into top six. I don't think he's interested in top six. He's interested in finishing as high as he can and let his football be embedded in the players. And once that is, it is what it is. And sky's the limit for the guy.
Interesting. You know, that's a very, very interesting viewpoint. Some people go two ways on that and say that, look, okay, fine. When you're setting goals, you have a target in mind. I think that's your end goal. That's where you want to reach, right? Fine. Maybe in a way, it limits your thinking, and perhaps this is another innovative approach, if you like, in terms of goal setting. The goal being the one right in front of you to win the next match. So your goal is to win the next match. If you achieve that goal of every time you're winning the next match, the sky's the limit, basically. You have no limits, basically. So that sort of doesn't limit you in any way, shape, or form. So in terms of chances of success, you know, we have to sort of round this up very quickly. So let's just have a look at, say, he's come from Scotland. He's won in Scotland. He's won in Japan. He's won in Australia. Right. Next step up, we have Premier League, and this is his first time. He's got a good crop of players that he's got to work with, and he's bringing in his own DNA into the club slowly, because I mean, of course, I've had a few acquisitions already, and of course, there's going to be a few more down the line. He's also got to deal with the problem in court, if you want to call it that. You want to call it a problem, because we'll look at that. I mean, maybe in another episode of is Hurricane staying or is not Hurricane staying? You know, that sort of thing, right? And if I'm to go by his quotes that he gave to Madison when Madison was coming, it says, "Look, whether you come or you don't come, you see a new Spurs next season."
Exactly.
You know, so
exactly.
And I'm hoping that is exactly what would keep Harry Kane focused and remain with the club. I don't have any problem with Kane whatsoever. I think he's been a great and fantastic servant to the club, and I'm pretty sure that he'll be here next season. But we'll deal with that. That's not what this is about. This is about Postecoglou. I want to say a big welcome to him, and we at Come On You Spurs TV obviously welcome him with open arms and say, and wish him all the success. You know, have you got any closing words for him, Chuma?
Yeah, I would just say to Ange that as a Tottenham fan, I speak for myself, but I just like people that work. I like deliberate practice. I like personal development. And from what I see of him, he cares about the player as opposed to just the game. He talks a lot about how once the individual gets better, the team gets better. And I just want him to stick to his principles, regardless of if we win, lose, or draw. He shouldn't. He doesn't even lose hope. If you read his autobiography, he's like, the minute I knew I had my players was when the particular player tried to play out of defense and got caught out twice and he conceded 2 goals. He said the fact the boy still did it the third time, it showed me I'd won. Because now the mentality was, I will still keep playing this way because this man told me this. And once he won that and he told him, the fact you guys did this, you guys can continue playing this way and you guys can succeed. The players all bought in. And that moment, I think, will come for Tottenham. And he should just stick to his guns. And the fans are actually, like, a majority of the fans are behind him already, and we haven't even seen a game. So I can only imagine what happens if and when we get into full stride with this man. And, you know, yeah. So I just wish him all the best, and I think he started off well. And there's this old saying: "You start as you aim to finish." He started well, so long may he continue.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Let's hear your thoughts on this comments. What do you think, Ange Postecoglou to succeed at Spurs or to fail? But yeah, we'll very, very much look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. So subscribe, like, and share this. And we'll see you next time. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Take care.
All right.